go over really quickly how to photograph your work to turn it into Google Classroom. Best ways to do so and what to not do while photographing your work. First, you're going to want it to be during the day. Find a well-lit room and photograph in an area that is not in direct sun like this, but the room itself is very bright. If you don't have this, make sure you have lights on in your house or the area that you're photographing. There are two ways that you can photograph. One, directly above, like this, like my camera, or two, you could adhere it to a wall and tape it, and I'll show you both. I'm going to show you different ways to photograph sheets of paper or in your sketchbook, okay? For both your sketchbook and the sheet of paper, you're going to want to find a background that is not busy. My kitchen table is pretty light. It doesn't have a lot of busyness, so I could photograph using just my background. What I'm going to want to do is make sure that I brighten up my screen as much as it can go without overexposing my image. I'm going to also get my camera as close as I can to the edge of my paper without cropping out any information, and then I would take a picture. You how to edit your pictures before you turn them in. So I can have that, and that's okay. The other option is to have some sort of background. So if your hard surface is really busy or you don't have a hard surface, I keep all of my cardboard and I cut down to large sheets where it's not folded. So I can use this as my background and I can place my image on top. Get as close again as possible. Make sure that the exposure is not too bright or too dark, and then take the picture. Make sure you don't have is a lot of shadows. So right now I don't have any shadows because I'm photographing directly above and I'm using light from the sun. My overhead lamp was turned off in my kitchen and now I turned it on, and you can see that shadow where my arm is. And so you want to make sure you don't have any overhead light, okay? So if you're photographing at night, I would suggest you not do that because you're going to have shadows on your images. It is best to photograph during the day with a lighted room than to photograph at night. Another option is to put some blank pieces of paper down. You want to make sure that part of it is not in the sun, like this is part in the sun, and that's going to cast a shadow on my image. So I want to make sure I'm all in the same type of level of light before I put my image down. Again, get in as close as possible. I can get even closer because I don't have a lot of information around my image. Change the exposure on my phone so it's a little bit brighter, and then take the picture. If you want to add some color to your background so it's easier for you to crop between the image that you're working with and your background, you can do that as well if you have construction paper. This is just blue construction paper, and then this way I can get really close, and then when I'm cropping I would just crop out this area and this area so it's all white completely around. So again, make sure you're exposing this so it's not too bright or too dark. You want to have no shadows from your overhead. You can't see any shadows from my phone. And also you want to make sure that you're doing this during the day and you have no flash. You don't want to flash because if I flash this, then it will be overly bright. Your final option to photograph your work is to tape it to a wall. You want to make sure that it's completely flat. If I photograph it like this, I'm going to get some sort of shadow here. So I'm going to add one more small piece of tape just to this edge. And right now I have my kitchen light on so that you can kind of see the shadow. See my hand shadow there? Okay, so you want to make sure you have no light on. And when I go to take the picture, I'm going to bring the exposure up a little bit more to brighten it. It's a little too much. Okay, and get as close as I possibly can and then take the picture. To photograph my sketchbook, all you'll need is a piece of tape, and maybe you could put something on the opposite side to flatten it. So the problem with photographing your sketchbook is that when you have more and more pages, it starts to bubble up, and then you don't want to photograph this part. So you can lay something flat and heavy on this side so it doesn't get shown, and then on the other side where your image is, you take a small piece of tape, adhere it to about the middle, pull it down so it's flat, and then just tape it to the side of your page, and then that creates a flatter sheet of paper. Okay, and then again, I would go directly above with my background. It's just my table, which is fine, or you can put the white pieces of paper below it. And then again, get as close as you possibly can where you're not cutting out any information, and then take the picture and then edit it after. Okay, so once I have all of my pictures taken, I'm not going to turn them in like this. There's a lot of information on this picture that I don't need. So what I want you to do is I want you to edit your pictures. So if you have an iPhone, you can follow along with me and edit. If you have a Droid or Google phone, it would be slightly different, but I'm sure they're all very similar. So first I'm going to crop it. So I'm going to click on the crop, and it's going to straighten it automatically for me. You want to make sure it's straight. And I'm just going to crop it all the way down to just the picture. Okay? And then if I need to, I could adjust the color or the saturation of the drawing, because I want to be able to really see the drawing. Okay, so I'm going to adjust the brilliance of it so that the rich colors come out and it looks much nicer. Remember, this is the only way I am seeing your work, and this is the only way I can grade it. If it's not very clear, if the picture is not done very well, then you're not going to get a very good grade. And then that's what I would turn into Google Classroom. This is another one. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to crop it. I'm just going to bring it up all the way until it's just the drawing. And then if I need to edit it, I'm going to edit the tonality of it, the brilliancy, making sure it's really white. I don't want it to be too white because then I can't see this part of my drawing. And hit done. Same thing for the cardboard, whatever background you have, or of my sketchbook. Now, if you turn it in this way, I have to turn my head to look at your picture. So I'm going to edit this. I'm going to crop it. I'm going to crop it all the way down to just the drawing. There's a little bit of the side, it's okay. Then up here I can rotate it. I'm going to rotate it until it looks like it's supposed to, like if I was to look at it in person. Around with these. Oops, sorry. It doesn't hurt to play around with these because you really want to be able to see what it is you are turning in. Again, this is the only way I'm going to see your work. So if you turn in a really bad photo, I won't be able to grade it very well. Then I can turn this into Google Classroom. If you have it as an option onto your phone, the other option is to okay, so if you have it as an option on your phone, you can do it directly from your phone. Otherwise, you will have to save it into your Google Drive and then upload it into Google Classroom on your laptop or your desktop. Right now, in this space that we're at right here, you might see a shadow in my, you can see the shadow right here. Okay, see my shadow? And you don't want to photograph a shadow because then I can't see that part of the artwork. All right, those are your tips on how to create a good photo for turning in Google Classroom.